I am Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book, and in this video we're going to be running down some of our favorite things about the Justice League movie directed by Zack Snyder from Warner Brothers Pictures. So Jason, are you ready to dig into this movie with me?
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, great. So first of all, one of the things that we really liked about the movie was the character interactions, the team members getting together, the team dynamics. So Jason, what were some of the team dynamics that really stood out to you as a positive thing?
Well, I really liked the way that the team was formed from complete individuals. Like, I didn't feel like any of the characters were, like, similar to other characters. Everyone had, like, a unique voice and personality. From, like, the Flash being, like, kind of a, paranoid, neurotic millennial kid to, like, Aquaman being, like, the most macho version we've seen of him to, like, Cyborg being really, like, unique in his portrayal as well and what he was going through. And, mix that together with Batman kind of going around the world to get these characters together. It really made it feel like a bigger universe now besides just Gotham and Metropolis. And the execution of everything together when you brought them together on the team really made those moments shine in the movie for me, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, each character got a real scene to ground their background. So, Cyborg with his dad, trying to figure out really what's going on with him. Flash with his dad. Aquaman, we got to see a little bit of Atlantis, a little taste. We'll get more of it next year. And then even, we saw a lot of the Amazons in the Wonder Woman movie this summer. But even this, to be fair to all of the team members, Wonder Woman, we got to see a little bit of her background too on Thematic. And then that's what kind of connected her to go join Bruce in this effort. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, all of them kind of got that basis to start from, but then they all got pulled together in unique ways, and they all had a motivation for joining the team. It wasn't just random, or it wasn't just like written off. It's like, no, they made sure to give each character a reason that they came in and joined. And what I liked too was they didn't do like full origin stories. They just gave you little hints. Like, they showed you the characters' backgrounds and where they're coming from, rather than like telling the full origin story of the Flash or telling the full origin story of Aquaman, for instance.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was kind of like not a recap, but like the way they would do it in a comic, where you just get a glimpse of the characters' powers or their essence of what they're really about, and kind of you can just go from there.
And then I really liked how they interacted with one another, and it worked, I think, because they had the different personalities, like you said. But when you think about the different pairing of characters, they all had some kind of memorable scene together. So, like, Wonder Woman and Cyborg definitely did. Wonder Woman and Aquaman did. Aquaman and Batman did. Cyborg and the Flash definitely did. Like, after the movie, when I'm thinking about it, every time I thought of two of the characters, I could remember something cool and memorable that they had together. So that was, really great to pull that off.
Yeah, and that's a huge old school comic book thing, because in the original issues of Justice League, that's what they were always doing. They pair up two characters that didn't really team up together and saw, how they would kind of get through the adventure they were on, and it made it much more entertaining.
Yeah, and it all culminated in that big shot at the end of the movie, and I loved the fist bump between the Flash and Cyborg. That was a good payoff.
That was totally good. I enjoyed that, yeah.
So, speaking of the team being together, though, some of the team dynamics got a little bit testy. So, Superman, so spoiler alert, by the way, we're assuming people have seen the movie, but Superman is brought back to life, and he's not quite sure where he is. He's not sure who that Cyborg guy is, or Aquaman or Flash. He doesn't know those people, and he doesn't, have his full kind of sense or memory of who he is. So that leads to this fight scene in Heroes Park, and that was a positive scene for both of us. We loved that scene.
Oh, totally. Like, it was something to me that just jumped right out of the comic, but also was its own thing. And there were so many stories where they could have drawn from this, and the Death of Superman storyline. And I really felt that they just took the best pieces of this and just kind of made it, let's have it done in one scene, how we're going to handle this. And it was just brilliant. Like, just showing Superman really unleashing his powers a bit if he wasn't holding back. And really hit home that these characters could not take Superman down if they had to, because Batman has his contingency plans, but Superman took care of him pretty fast. And that part with the Flash during the scene just really stole the show.
Yeah, so, first of all, with the scene overall, it really is a way to, this is the first Justice League movie, so we are, throughout the whole movie, we're getting to know their power sets, and, we're very familiar with the comics and animation and all this stuff, but for the general audience, they're getting to know these characters, and so seeing them tested against one another is kind of an important moment to have.
Totally.
And like you said, it's right out of the comic books, where comic books, they're always finding excuses to have heroes test themselves against each other, so that's, like, to me, right exactly what this scene was doing. But then, yeah, it all led up to Cyborg and Wonder Woman and Aquaman are trying to restrain Superman, and so the Flash starts to take off like, okay, I'm going to come in and help. And then just Superman's, eyes rotating and actually tracking him. And like to
So
me,
good.
it's amazing too because I mean the moment that was so great and the audiences just really responded to it, myself included.
Oh,
It's
totally.
it's actually just close-ups of the faces. Like it's a close-up of Superman's face and then a close-up of Flash's face and then a close-up of Superman's face. So usually when you think of like an exhilarating action kind of moment, you usually think of all kinds of kinetic energy and wide shots and stuff. It's just close-ups on faces, but the eyeballs moving, and then
Yeah.
Flash's like reaction shot. Like I cannot believe somebody is actually watching me as I'm running.
Yeah,
just
exactly, right?
was just iconic. Like you want to have those iconic scenes where everybody's going to remember the scene afterward.
And it definitely was iconic. It's funny because it reminded me when I thought of a similar team movie in the Avengers, my iconic scene is there when the characters finally all kind of come together and they have that kind of circular shot. And here I felt the same way, even though it was a scene basically like, how are these guys going to beat Superman? They have no chance. But it really showed you that like these guys are trying different ways to team up together, to work together for something greater to bring Superman back. And it really is the essence of the characters and the team. And it was really well done. Like I really, to me, it was something that like I really was not surprised, but really glad it was in there.
Yeah, and those kinds of moments can only happen in a team up movie because
Totally.
it's really Flash's powers and then going up against Superman and like Wonder Woman's lasso around Superman's arm.
That was
Like
great.
that and like Superman punching Aquaman, like that kind of stuff. It's like only in a Justice League movie can you have those, and it really worked well for that.
Totally.
And to me, I loved it too at the end. So like, how are you going to get out of this? I thought it was great that Lois Lane was the key to getting out of it.
Yeah, because when they said the big guns, being a comic nerd, I kind of thought, well, wait a minute, they recently announced that guy's playing Shazam. Are they going to have like a cameo of a Green Lantern or Shazam here? And I'm like, nah, that was really well done, that part.
Yeah, I think some people probably were wondering Green Lantern or whatever, but yeah, I thought Lois Lane was a great way to resolve the fight.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so another thing that I especially like about it, and I want to put this out there for your reaction, is I feel like this movie actually does have some strong themes across the movie. So I'm still working them out, but I've started to identify a few. One of the themes, I think, is the fact that it's important to move from isolation to collaboration, and that collaboration is actually more powerful than isolation. And to me, I see this in a lot of the characters. Like Aquaman obviously says, I'm a loner. I don't have really a society that I'm, totally at home in. But Barry Allen is also like squatting and just moving around, and he's off the grid by himself, that kind of thing. Cyborg is literally isolated in an apartment and can't even leave. And then you have like Wonder Woman, where she talks about like I isolated myself for decades because I was dealing with the loss of Steve Trevor, and I had learned this kind of some ugly things about mankind. So she was trying to find her place in this new world. So to me, there's this isolation from a lot of the different characters, but eventually they all come over and realize the power of like collaborating together. So that's one of the themes that I'm definitely thinking about.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because it's something that, once again, really works well in a team up movie like this because on paper it's superheroes fighting each other and then fighting a bad guy, but there's a lot more going on underneath there. And then to me, that's what sells it as a really well done superhero movie because it's not just about what's on the surface, it's about what's underneath it.
Yeah.
And it really proved the point that they needed to band together, to fight Steppenwolf. We can talk about that later as how big of a baddie he was for the movie. But the whole movie was about them coming together, realizing they need to work together to get things done. And it's like a great reason to have a Justice League movie.
Yeah, and I think they didn't just do lip service to it. I think they actually built it into the characters' stories, that it was about them coming together.
Totally.
And some of them, so another theme I think is about not just for those characters, but for us to think about ourselves. How do we deal with loss? So, Lois and Martha obviously lost Clark, but Bruce also lost Clark, and the world lost Superman. And so you can think about, okay, how are they dealing with all of those? Lois isn't dealing very well, and she's kind of not happy with herself that she isn't dealing well with it. Martha, is letting her house go, getting foreclosed and stuff, which I think is because she's not really dealing with the fact that her son is not coming back to that house.
Yeah.
And the world is going to decay and terrorism and anger and all that stuff. And then Cyborg dealing with the loss of his body, Flash dealing with the loss of his dad in prison or his mom. So, like, for me, it's just all these characters is like, okay, we're seeing them have to grapple with some sort of loss, and we can think about ourselves in that situation as well. But then it's not just that question, it goes somewhere, which is what I love about movies, is it goes somewhere to say, like, you know what, even if you have loss and pain, you can actually come back stronger. And it ties in with the collaboration, because sometimes you need other people to support you, but you can come back stronger, like Superman does, like Cyborg does, like Wonder Woman eventually takes her like public place by the end of the movie, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of symbolic that Batman's the one bringing everybody together when originally he's the biggest loner.
Yeah,
you could argue that Batman knows more than anybody about loss, so I think it's kind of cool how that all works together, and really, gives the characters, like, once again, more of a reason to come together.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm working on a few others, and I'll be talking about those in my podcast, but just the fact that I'm already identifying some that I think are really strong makes the movie that much better in my book, because that's important to me, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Now, another thing, though, is, it's not all about these kind of conceptual themes. It's also about having a good time at the movie theater, having fun with these characters. And so another thing that we like about it is that they infuse some really effective humor in the movie.
Oh, totally. I mean, if you've seen the movie, to me, like, in that department, The Flash steals the show. They really kind of, like, change his character quite a bit. It's almost like a cross between all the versions of The Flash we've seen. He's got kind of the Wally West type humor from the cartoon, whereas he's more modern, almost like the TV show Flash, but even more so. And, obviously there's some classic Barry Allen elements in there, but having that character in this movie really makes it work on a different level, because he's like the audience's eyes seeing these characters coming together and all this crazy otherworldly, things happening. And it really just, it's great when you have these action scenes and you have a moment to kind of laugh at it, because really, it is silly in a way, and that's what people sometimes do when they're dealing with crazy things. So I really enjoyed his portrayal for sure.
Yeah, I think Alfred brought some humor in kind of the same way that he did in BVS, but the Flash brought a new infusion of humor into this movie. And yeah, he also would let other characters be funny off of him. Like Cyborg is the straight man, but he actually had some funny parts because it was in dialogue with the Flash, like in the grave scene when Flash is putting out his fist bump and Cyborg kind of looks at him. Like that was even funny from Cyborg, but it's because he's playing off of the Flash's energy,
Yeah, it worked really well, and with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, I mean, Aquaman even had some funny lines, because they really, Aquaman arguably is a well-known character, but they've really, given more depth to his personality in this and made him quite a different version of the character, and it worked really well.
Yeah. And I like, too, how the Flash would sometimes bust the tension. So, the Flash is kind of, nervous sometimes. Yeah. And so there would be, a heated debate between Justice League members, but then the Flash would kind of, diffuse the tension with a little, kind of comment about, we'll cover for Wonder Woman, or, I didn't hear anything after we're all going to die, those kinds of things.
Yeah, or talking about he needs to eat or something like that.
Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, so all around, there was a lot of good stuff, which, I'm open to it at this point when this is really the movie about them getting together and going to a new kind of positive place. So I think the humor works pretty well in that.
I would agree.
All right, and the last positive thing that we're going to mention in this video is some of the action scenes. So for me, solid action. Not everything was perfect, but I think there was some really good things to be proud of in the action. The one that really stuck out to me was the Gotham Tunnel fight. I really liked that one a lot. I like the Flash and Wonder Woman's collaboration, Batman with his gadgets, and I love how they wrote it where Aquaman can come in through the water, and that actually made sense as a way for Aquaman to kind of come in and join that fight.
That scene was done really well, and I also enjoyed the end scene elements of it that I expected to see, where it was the Steppenwolf fight, etc., etc. But I really enjoyed is where they dealt with some more real world fallout in that, and they said, "Wait, civilians," and Superman just hears it, flies off to save people, and so does the Flash. And they even kind of hinted that earlier when Flash was like, "I don't know what to do," and Batman says, "Just save one person, and then you'll know what to do next." So I like that the action scenes worked on different levels in this movie, and I really enjoyed them.
All right, awesome. So lots of good stuff. We could probably go on, but I think that's enough for right now. We are going to do a video after this of some of the negative things, some of the critiques that we have of the movie, but overall, I've seen it a few times already, and actually I've liked it even more each time, so a lot of fun talking about it with you.
Awesome. I really enjoyed it too.